Winchester big bore 357 Magnum versus 44 Magnum. I am testing these on 4-inch barrels today. Both of these are my Smith & Wesson L-frame revolvers, our Smith & Wesson model 686 with a 4 1/8 inch barrel. My Smith & Wesson model 69 44 mag and a 4 1/4 inch barrel. Both these weigh similar weights, so it should be an interesting test to see how these things will do. So what we have here is our 357 mag is a 158 grain semi-jacketed hollow point. What's interesting about this ammo is that the hollow cavities are actually a lot smaller than what I'm typically used to seeing with stuff like this. And we can see that in both our 357 and our 44 Magnum. Very shallow hollow cavities, which that would indicate that we're going to get pretty good penetration and probably more of a controlled expansion. So our 357 mag, a lot of people were bringing this to my attention because of the velocity ratings. Rated at 1460 feet per second, 748 foot-pounds. However, if you look at this, it says 8.5 inch vented barrel, which is basically a test barrel with a little slit cut in it to simulate like a cylinder gap. So judging from that, this is probably not going to be significantly different than typical 357 Magnum ammo. Our 44 Magnum, again, 8.5 inch vented barrel, rated at 1485 feet per second, 1175 foot-pounds energy. But I think we're probably going to be more in a typical velocity and energy range with that. So we're going to go through the chronograph with this stuff, see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get at the same time. Then I'm going to do my 10% ballistic test. It's my standard test I normally like to do. We're just going to go into plain clear ballistics, see what the best potential is of these bullets, see what we get for penetration, expansion, all of that. And then after that, I'm going to do more of a real world simulation where I put on 4 layers of denim on the front of this 3-inch piece of clear ballistics. And after that, we're going to put in a 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard to represent hitting ribs or sternum. And this can be more of a real world simulation. We'll see how the cartridges compare that way. And then I'll shoot up my steel silhouette like I normally do, just to kind of see what kind of practical accuracy I can get. So let's get started with this test. All right, I'm about 5 yards from the target, 4 yards from the chronograph, 158 grain. By the way, the 44 is a 240 grain, 357, 158 grain. We're rated at 1460 feet per second. So let's see what we actually get here from my 4-inch revolver. See how close we get to 1460 feet per second. 1234, 1161, 1154, 1155, 1120. So nowhere near rated velocity. I will say this though, the recoil on this is really mild. So I would probably say if it performs well, I would carry that for self-defense just because the recoil is very mild. 44 mag, we're rated at 1485 feet per second. Let's see how close we get to that in my 4-inch revolver here. I'm not even sure if that was a read. 1179, 1205, 1185, 1200. So the recoil on that is about typical for typical 44 mag. You saw I pulled it a little bit to the left. That was all me on that first shot, just anticipating that recoil. And then I just kind of let the recoil go so that I'm not fighting it, which, you know, I typically don't fight it when I'm going through the chronograph, but I do when I'm shooting at actual targets where I'm simulating training. So let's hit our ballistics shell block with these and just see how they compare. All right, let's see what our best potential is of these. Just plain clear ballistics, nothing else. 357 mag. See how this does. All right, let's try our 44 mag now. See how this compares. Let's go take a look. All right, well, I expected some of that, but not all of that. I did not expect to see what we got with our 357 mag. I thought that would stop in the first block for sure, but no, we got more penetration with our 357 than what we did with our 44 Magnum. Interesting. So what we got here is we got just shy of 31 inches with our 357 mag. I can't see that bullet because it's behind a whole bunch of bubbles right there. And our 44 mag, we're right at about 28 inches. I see some nose deformation. Not significant expansion though. So let's put our MDF in for rib simulation and put on our dumb and see how they compare that way. All right, more of our real world simulation. 4 layers of denim, 3 inches of clear ballistics, a 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard. Let's see how our 357 mag does. Let's try our 44 now. All right, 44 mag, same thing. See how this will do. Let's go take a look. All right, so here's our MDF, about the same size hole going through. Obviously that's our 44, I believe anyways. However, not so sure. We have more damage with our 44 mag. Our 357 here is on the bottom, a lot of debris put in there. Our 44 is up here on top, and definitely a lot more damage with our 44. But our 357 mag, it went up here to about 29 inches of penetration. I don't see really any deformation of that hollow point at all. Our 44 Magnum, we went to about 32 1/4 inches. I really don't see much in the way of deformation of that bullet, just a little bit of nose deformation. So it is very clear from looking at this that none of this stuff was really designed for handguns. You know, I was looking at some of the literature. It wasn't super clear, but I believe it was pretty much designed for rifles. And when I looked at the hollow cavities, I kind of agreed with that, because in order for these to really deform and expand, you'd have to have significantly more velocity than what we're getting here. So these would probably be decent handgun revolver loads if we're talking bear defense, because we are getting, you know, a lot more penetration than typical, and we are also getting some deformation. So, you know, it shows the bear on the box, and I would say that's probably about what these are good for. And surprisingly, our 357, generally stuff like that does not penetrate very far in gel. So we're penetrating like a bear round. So I'm going to say these probably are intended to be either bear rounds or medium game rounds with a rifle. So let me shoot at steel and just see what kind of shootability they have for me. All right, I'm going to do a couple tests here. I'm going to do my 25-yard marker test here, where I'm going to fire double action. I'm going to try to place these shots as accurately as I think I can, as quick as I can, from 25 yards. This is going to kind of simulate like bear defense, I would say. You know, if I saw a grizzly charging me at 25 yards, I might want to start shooting. So let's see what I can get here with our 357 mag. Very shootable round, not much recoil like I stated before, very easy to control round. So let's see how our 44 mag compares. A lot more recoil, a lot more re-gripping there. I just have to in order to get the next shot on target, but a lot more plate movement down there. And that's going to be my test against bear defense for bear defense rounds. Now what I want to do is I want to go back to 75 yards, do some single action to kind of simulate maybe a hunting scenario. So let me try that now. All right, 75 yards from the target. I've mentioned this before, but a lot of people will kind of get on me and saying that, you know, you shoot double action, you should be shooting single action because it's more accurate. And I've disagreed, and the fact is, when you're talking defensive shooting, double action is more accurate because you've already got your hand in the position. So when you're talking about all the shots all together where you don't have to move your hand, multiple shots are more accurate than going single action, breaking your grip, and starting over again. However, when it comes to firing just one shot, like if you were hunting, that's where it can be potentially more accurate. So I'm gonna do a single action shot and see if I can hit that target from 75 yards. Here in Michigan, we have white-tailed deers. They're up there close to 200 pounds. You could potentially take something like that with a 357 or a 44 mag. But I can tell you, I've hunted before, and if you take one shot and you don't hit, the deer's gone. It's going to run. So it's going to run whether you make that hit or you don't make that hit. So 357 mag. Let's see if I can make a hit single action. Just trying to breathe and relax here. Huh. I don't know where that went. Let me try some more. I'll try to keep an eye on where it goes. I'm so focused on the target that I didn't really notice where it hit in the dirt. Let me keep trying. Alright, shooting a little bit high. So I had to aim at the very bottom of the target. So they were definitely jumping up, which doesn't surprise me because the velocity wasn't particularly that great with those. So 44 mag, same thing. Actually took a shot at a deer with a 44 mag about 12 years ago. A little bit bigger than this. I actually missed it. So it's not an easy thing to do. So let's see if I can make a hit. These are also shooting high. I think it's just a slow velocity. I'm just seeing them go over the target. All right. Let me try a double action shot. Maybe if I grip it a little tighter. It forces me to grip tighter, so maybe it'll help me. Felt myself pull that one. These are definitely shooting high because I aimed at the very base of the target. So let me aim below the target. All right, so these are definitely heavy and slow, and overall they're not bad rounds. If you use them for how they're intended to be used. When you look at the box, I kind of wonder, why is there a grizzly bear on the box? But it kind of adds up now. And what we're seeing is something that's, if I were just going to use hard casts with these at this power level, both of those would pass through both gel blocks. But with this, you're getting just a little bit of nose deformation. You're still getting really a lot of penetration, enough penetration to do the job if you're stopping a big animal, but it's also deforming just a little bit. So it's clear these are definitely not personal defense rounds whatsoever, and I would not use them for that. However, that being said, the 357 mag had about as much recoil as any other 357 mag, maybe even lighter than some of them. So that would be a very shootable round, and it definitely would stop a person. You'd have to be mindful of that it's going to pass through. The 44 mag, that's just kind of brutal of a round for a personal defense round. It's got a lot there, but both of them are just not really that impressive. It looks like all that Winchester really did was take the semi-jacket of hollow point, load typical powder. I could smell the powder. It smells like what they normally use. And they just made a hollow cavity shallower so it'll penetrate deeper. That being said, is that a bad thing for the intended purpose with that bear on the round on the box? No, not necessarily, but that's what you get today with this. Take it for what it is. Don't buy it for personal defense, but maybe for, you know, dangerous animal protection or hunting. So that's what you get today, and I think it would also do a lot better in a rifle. So that's what you get today. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.